trying to hide like this
Oh, that's it.
We're live.
Yeah.
We're live.
I can find
We're
that.
live.
We are
So
live.
we should quit talking about people with beards and stuff.
Not that anyone
And
is
act
doing that.
professional. Okay.
We're talking
Welcome
about
to-
a new month. We have a new.
Welcome to the Urban and Economic Development Committee meeting. It's about 10:30 on May the 6th. I call this meeting to order. The first item is rezoning application at or near 61st and Union. Susan?
Morning.
Good morning. I'm used to having something before me.
Do you want us to talk a little bit more first amongst ourselves?
Oh, we don't have appointees, that's why.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know. Okay, so I have three really interesting cases this morning that are all really good, I think. So this is a rezoning at 61st and Union to CS. You can see that corner has a lot of different zoning districts on it. So it already is a large portion of it CS. This would just be making the entirety of the parcel CS. It's in PUD as well. So, oh, I'm sorry, the first two are related. I don't know if you need to.
Item number 3, rezoning application at or near 61st and Union.
So, so this is the parcel on the corner. Nothing's developed right now. It's been part of the PUD that has never developed. It is a multiple use land use designation. The intent is to develop housing. They're leaning towards senior housing on this side. We do have a conceptual site plan, and it's kind of turned sideways. So north is to the left, at 61st on the right, and then First Union. And so that it needed to go to CS as a whole to get, not to be able to do apartments, because those could be done anyway, but to get to the FAR they needed and the height they needed, because the PUD restricted those. Those were a couple of the main factors. Also, there was a setback issue. They do, after talking with the developer, they did want to move the building up to the street. They wanted to have that sort of pedestrian feel up at the street, anticipating what that future intersection might look like.
Yeah.
And so they anticipate that it be maybe even 4 stories. That's the max in the PUD it could be, and maybe about 120 units. So that's really about it. We didn't hear from any opposition from anybody on it. And it was unanimously recommended for approval.
Counselor Archie?
Yeah, so we've had a number of community meetings about this, and I'm grateful to Simple Church for hosting those meetings. Our folks are excited about the development, the partnership with Mercy Housing, and it's pretty cool that it's gonna back up kind of to the street, so kind of give it a frontage. And there's additional development. I mean, I met with, I walk, and we're, met with business owners, the community leaders, and we're glad about what's happening. So we support it.
Good. Anyone else? Item 4, rezoning app for property at 41st and 129th East.
And next one too, please.
Same thing. It's a resolution at the same area.
Okay, so there are 2 related applications. One is a zoning change, the other is a comp plan amendment. This is the site. This is a really, okay, so let me show you the aerial. You'll get a better sense of where it is. There's, of course, it's already developed out as really an office complex on the southwest there. The intent is, it's RS5 on the larger piece, that's about 44 acres. Commercial is intended, or CS, on the corner. So this is the change. Currently, it is scientific research, which is a very rare zoning district. As far as land use, which is the second application, it's employment currently. This is because it's really filling out the rest of this area, or at least the parcel. So it makes sense that it, this office park, I don't even know what you call it. Office park is typically kind of full, but there's still some vacancies there. So this is a good use of the remainder of that portion. It is separated by a floodplain, so it does kind of have a little bit of a separation there from that use. And to match with the residential and commercial, they've also asked for a land use change to neighborhood. And at the corner, I think, is multiple use. or local center. And that's about it. The residential development, I mean, it will still have to be designed, but what we've seen so far, estimated lots are about 310.
You said,
Yeah, yes.
It's in my district. I know there was some confusion because
Yeah,
District
yeah.
6 is across the street. So this is District 7. I did meet with the developer. The commercial zone will have a hotel going in. So, and kind of offices, retail kind of thing on the corner, not unlike you would see it like 81st and Mingo or in that
Like
corridor.
residence in a courtyard, one of those
Yeah, like,
kind, town
yeah.
place?
Yeah,
Okay.
Hyatt Place or something
Yeah.
like that. I can't remember the product
Oh,
exactly,
yeah,
but.
one of those types.
Yeah, definitely like business,
3 or 4.
traveler type, 3-story, maybe, you know, a few dozen units.
Yep.
And then the kind of amenities that would go with that, like I said, not unlike is characteristic in our district already around like 81st Street from 169 to Sheridan, you kind of see kind of what's going on over there. And then the housing, I'm very excited about, of course, because we need more housing, and these would be a product for workforce, so starter homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, affordable to, you know, get started in housing for folks who are a little bit locked out of the market right now. And I think, just, I don't wanna overspeak my colleague to the
No,
east, but this is a developing
You
corridor.
and I are aligned on this
Yeah, this
completely.
is a developing corridor, and hopefully the more rooftops we get, there'll be a grocery store that goes in and those kinds of
Yep.
things that we need out there.
It's a
So,
growth corridor.
Yeah, exactly, and we already have the firehouse out there, so it's
Yep.
just, continuing to grow. I will just flag, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, but as we talk about the next capital improvement package, 41st Street over there is gonna need some improvements, because it's growing quickly on the, business side and residential, so
Yep.
probably some, if it's not already been designed,
Even
some,
further to the east.
some widening design and maybe even some widening dollars, so just something to look at it. But we, capture the easements now, which is the first part, this acquisition. So I'm supportive, and this is a local developer, and he seems like he's operating in good faith. He's reached out to community, and so I'm excited to have this kind of partner coming in to do a project like this.
What is that big office park to the south?
That's,
I know it's not on here.
that's like Verizon and,
So the one
Public
that's
Safety
here,
Center
right here.
to the south.
Yeah?
they've got a rental
State Farm is
car,
down
Yeah.
south.
a facility in there, there's like a care ATC facility in there, there's just kind
Okay.
of random office type uses.
And then
I know I've
obviously
been
to the
by it
west, you have
1,000
the
times, but I can't remember.
The Girl
Public
Scouts
Safety
are around
Center,
there.
Health
Quick Trip
Department,
is
Quick
Quick
Trip.
Trip is on the other side.
Quick Trip headquarters is across the street.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
To the
Okay,
east.
I'm just looking at it.
And to the
I'm
east, you
just-
have Home
yeah,
Builders
yeah, yeah.
Association, and,
Yeah, yeah, okay, I know what
yeah,
that is.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all, that's where the cows graze right now.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of driving through and you're like, there's cows
Used to
over
be where
here.
everybody flew kites at the Gateway Balloon
Oh,
Festival
yeah.
used to be
That's
in
right.
that
Right,
area.
Oh, right.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Counselor Archie?
well, I think you answered a lot of those questions. Susan, you said it was a scientific, research zoning?
Yes. So there's not much of that. Another site that is scientific research zoned is the OU Tulsa site at 41st and Yale. But there's not a lot of it in the city.
I thought this is entirely unserious, but I thought, is that where the aliens are we're gonna do research on the aliens?
crop circles.
Yeah, we can take them there. All right, back to business.
That's what the cows are.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
incognito.
thank you.
Watch
Like
too many
this.
Men in Black movies.
Like that little dog in Men in Black.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, item 6, rezoning application at 91st and Riverside.
Okay, I think you're familiar with this one, you've seen this before, with a TIF that you approved. So this is about a 30-acre site, and if you remember, maybe a year or two ago, you approved an amendment to the river design overlay, because this is in large part in the river design overlay, that would allow, if an MPD was done on a property over 20 acres, it could not follow the standards to the exact letter of the law, but would really need to incorporate that as much as possible, so that's what this did. So there's a lot of that incorporated into this development. So a lot of different zonings right now. going to MPD 9, so there's a specific set of standards, again, a lot of Mirror River design overlay. I think you're familiar with this site, seems like it, most people are. And it is in the, a regional center on the Lewis side and the river, what do we call it, Arkansas River Corridor land use on the other. And this is the, I think this is the one you've probably seen before too, it's been the one, I think, in the TIF packet. So this is the general concept, the peach color is retail, the blue is housing, multifamily housing, so the proposal has roughly about 200,000 square feet of commercial and about 800 multifamily units.
Yeah.
This is the Southern Villa too.
Southern, Riverline project, yeah.
Okay, sure. I understood that they were amending this, that the markets would actually drive the numbers for retail or housing.
So that, and I'm just giving you an estimate, it's not
Okay.
a set in stone number.
It's
but
not, okay.
no,
I
not
thought
at all.
previously there was a specific number associated with each type of development.
Yes,
And now they're saying
Not-
that
not in
they
the
want the
regulation.
market to drive it.
Susan's correct. So Susan's correct. The original plan is exactly what Susan said, and you're correct as well. They plan to design as the market has need for it. So it may not be 800 houses, it may be 769 or something of that nature, but it will change based on the market.
Okay. Do you know what, if there's a percentage of fluctuation built into that, or if it, is it just totally market driven?
I don't know that answer. I think right now, their concept is market driven.
Okay.
And they, when we had our public meetings on this, they presented this in 3 phases. And they, I don't have the handouts with me, but presented a lower unit package, a 500, and moderate unit package, 600 or 700, and then the high. And so, like you said, I think it's probably both.
Yeah,
But just as the phases go, they'll determine.
Right, so as they're developing the project, the market will dictate ultimately how many homes will be on that site and the type of retail will be on that site as well.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, the proposal was this was gonna be higher end retail.
Yes.
So that's what I'm asking, really.
So that's still the same. It's still going to be higher end retail. That's still designed for the property at this point.
Because
It's
my
the number of
understanding
housing
is
is
that
what's
was
going
the
to fluctuate.
fluctuation.
The
Yeah.
housing is what's going to fluctuate,
Okay.
not the retail
Okay.
standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the MPD is a very broad, it's not a super tight regulatory document. So all of these things can happen in the scope of this. It's just whatever decides to happen on the site. This is just a conceptual of the thought that the developer has right now. But the design standards that align with the river design overlay, like the landscaping, the parking, the trail, and all of that kind of stuff, that is very tight regulatory.
Okay, I was gonna ask
Yeah.
if there were any concessions made on RDO standards.
Some, I guess a big one is really, it's not probably as close as to the street, to Riverside as it would require, but there were other factors, and they're really gonna heavily landscape the street and put a 10-foot wide side path, sidewalk, or whatever the name is for something that wide, next to the street. So, it still meets a lot of the intent, it has really an internal courtyard, also a lot of landscaping. So that's definitely an enhanced development from what we would normally see somewhere for those with standards that mirror the river design overlay.
It's meant to be a development where people can come in and actually just spend time in as well. So beyond just shopping or eating there, you can actually spend time walking around, relaxing within that area for the community. So
Is there just a connection to the casino to the west at grade? Nothing over Riverside or under Riverside at this point?
Yeah, and I think there's discussion maybe on the south side of a traffic signal or.
yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Okay, there's 2 traffic signals there right now, but, yeah, maybe there need to be one right here too. There's one right here. And one further north.
Trail behind it.
Yeah.
Behind it, right.
Yeah, it's part of the,
Okay.
Yeah.
It goes right behind it.
Yeah, there's a trail that goes off in the corridor as
yeah,
well.
it goes all the way down.
That trail down right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, on the west side of
Yeah.
Riverside, right.
and those would go to the lights.
Yep. Okay, anything else? Anyone else? Thank you all very much. Item 7, presentation and updates from the Regional Chamber regarding economic development, tourism, and legislative advocacy.
Do you know how many of those folders I have?
That's the whole set.
You're gonna recycle them? Okay,
Just
right.
let it number.
Well, thank you, council. We really appreciate the opportunity to come visit with you all today and talk about economic development, tourism, and government affairs. Also want to just thank you all for the really great working relationship that we have with this body on a lot of really important projects, and so just wanted to highlight that and thank you for that. Sarah was able to go recently with us, and thank you all for approving that. But Sarah went with us to Kansas City to do a pre-visit for the inner-city visit, which is going to be a really important, always important every year that we do, and go look at other cities to see what they're doing well, and I think we're going to learn a lot as we go to Kansas City. So thank you for letting Sarah go along with us. Appreciate that.
When is that?
It's October, it's in the packet of, it's in the calendar of events here, so that will be
5th through the 7th.
October 5th through 7th. Yeah. So put that on your calendar, we'd love to have you there.
Are we driving or flying?
It's easier to drive. Driving.
Running.
Yeah, It's easy to drive.
Scooter.
It's easy to drive.
Scooter.
Scooter. I'll first call on Renee McKinney to give us an update on some of the things that have been going on in tourism. Renee?
Great, thank you. Well, today is it's Global Meetings Day, and it is National Tour and Tourism Week around the country. So it's really great to speak to you today. We also celebrated yesterday FFA's extension for an additional 5 years, and they bring in 13,000 people a day. So as you can imagine, to see it full, and the BOK was full yesterday with the general session, and very exciting to see that. And then I just wanted to point out, we are just weeks away from our big event, May 30th, to celebrate the centennial. And I'm very pleased to say we have over 3,500 cars registered, which is so big, and also bringing in so much travel and tourism and highlighting the capital of Route 66. So we're expecting a very big day there, so excited about that. And one thing before I get started, I wanted to point out, next week, the entire city is going to be full. We have a basketball tournament with over 700 teams. We, in addition to that, have several other groups in that people are trying to find rooms as far as Edmond. So because we don't have enough rooms in the inn, Edmond is getting our guest tax. So there is something to be said for the fact that we have so many groups wanting to come here that we are now expanding into the entire region. And so that was just, I want you to be prepared for next week. It's going to be a really big one. So for the quarterly report, I just wanted to point out, you can see where we are, inventory and performance by class and our historic performance. So we're having a very good year. Our hotels are very happy. We've had a strong quarter, and it's exciting to see the leads continue to grow. We're doing quite a bit there. Our bookings and economic impact is all listed there. And then I know you're seeing a lot going on around, but I update the lost business all the time, and you'll continue to hear about that as we turn away groups, which just absolutely kills us to do that. But we're excited that we've got a lot of interest here. Event organizer feedback is strong, and then our visitor center, this continues to grow with our visitor center being on Route 66, so you'll continue to see the interest there, and we're seeing a huge bump in our Route 66 traffic. The Wall Street Journal story, I hope everybody got to see that, calling us the cultural city to see, and it really highlighted our small businesses, it highlighted our community, most especially our creative community. So we continue to see that. DCI out of New York is who we work with, and we continue to pitch stories to them, and they continue to deliver. So it's really exciting to see us with, from the Wall Street Journal to, we've seen Southern Living and several other big New York Times stories that have come out over the past, especially 6 months. So excited about that. Marketing communications, you can see listed here, as well as our earned media. And then social media, we're doing a lot around that. You're seeing influencers, and you'll continue to see that, especially around our centennial events. And then lastly, talking about film, music, arts, and culture, as you know, Lowdown is filming downtown, and they're going to be here through July. We also have several other projects that are being filmed. Our music is getting highlighted throughout all of that, and then we're preparing for Music Month in July. So that is everything for us.
Thank you, Renee, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about, like, when we get a full page or half-page article in the Wall Street Journal, I mean, that's an article that we probably could never afford an ad in the Wall Street Journal, so those are huge deals for us. And so really, there's been 3 over the last several months.
That
since
college
December.
student jobs.
Yeah, that was another big one this
Yeah,
week
that's
too, yeah.
huge.
And then we had one back in December about one of the top places to visit in 2026 in the world. So those are really
In the world.
impactful and really get a lot of attention towards our tourism venues. So I'll now turn it over to Kim Wilmus to talk about economic development. Kim?
Yeah, good morning, thank you. In your package, you've got two of our materials in there. It really highlights 2025, just a quick recap of all the things from an economic development perspective of what we handled throughout the region. And then a Q1 of a touch base on what our team has done so far to date. But really want to highlight a couple of things. On the recruitment side, aerospace, space, and defense is huge. Continues to be huge for us. Last year, we announced Agile Space Industries, the rocket engine testing facility over near the airport. That continues to generate a lot of interest in Tulsa. We attended the Space Symposium in January, and our team had a lot of folks walking up to us and saying, okay, what's going on in Tulsa, right? So that rocket engine testing facility is a great catalyst to growing the space industry for us. So please keep an eye out for good things happening in that industry. On space, and then Lufthansa, as you've seen, they continue to grow. They expanded their 25,000 square feet new facility that adds 90 new workstations. In a couple of weeks, they're gonna inaugurate their new engine test center, facility, and so we continue to work with them to support their growth. We continue to attend aerospace shows. I mentioned Space Symposium, so MRO Americas was another event that we attended. Walked out of that show with about 5 potential projects that we're talking to cultivate and get them here for a potential visit. But we're really continuing to really integrate all of our processes. So we've hired a new person who's purely, her job is specifically lead generation. But we're working to integrate our whole processes. So as Renee mentioned, we've got DCI that continues to do PR for us. As an example, they'll flush the market in New York before we know that we're about to go to a trip. They'll run ads. We've run digital ads there. When New York's mayor was recently elected, he was known to have not unfriendly business practices, so we really pushed digital ads to businesses that we were targeting about how business-friendly our climate was and our cost of living and cost of businesses here. And then our team took a trip to New York. We had 14 appointments when we were there, and that was our proactive lead gen person. She makes 40 calls a day. That's all she does, and tries to set appointments for us as we go to these shows or go to these marketing trips. On the business retention and expansion side, as I mentioned, Lufthansa, we continue to work with them. Part of our team actually traveled out to Germany at their request. We met with them to better understand their apprenticeship programs. So we met with Airbus, Lufthansa, and Volkswagen when we were there to better understand how we might be able to bring that process here. They want our help to figure out culturally, their apprenticeship programs probably won't work here in the States, but they want to figure out what can. And so we're looking to work with their team for that. Also helping our local companies in getting their share of state funds. So $20 million went to local companies here throughout the region to help support their company growth. Whenever they look to make significant capital investments, there's another state program that we helped coordinate and connect them with for them to get extra dollars to help with that. We continue to have our industry council meetings, so manufacturing, aerospace, and tech council. We get them together, kind of talk about trends and help them connect with each other, as well as our one-on-one meetings with companies. And then finally, on the workforce side, we want to make sure that our local companies that have we've identified hard to fill roles. So we want to make sure that those HR managers of those companies are connecting with the specific folks at the university and tech roles that teach those programs. So we had an event actually yesterday that got all of our accounting industry folks together. Had several connections that were built there, but then we're also working for those companies that need experienced talent. So we're running talent ads in markets that are close by, where folks may likely be willing to relocate, as well as where there's a surplus of that specific skill in that community to get them to come and look at jobs here. So we're working with companies to get their career pages listed on our website so that when we run those ads, they go straight to our site and then straight out to a variety of companies that have those roles open. So I'll pause there if you have any questions.
It's good stuff.
Any questions for Kim? All right, I'll turn it over final to Josh Driscoll to give us an update on government affairs. Josh?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. As you're aware, we had our Washington DC fly-in and had a great turnout between Oklahoma City Chamber and Tulsa Chamber. We partnered together this year, 120 attendees. It's worth noting Tulsa outnumbered Oklahoma City 80-40, so props to us. But we were able to hear from our new U.S. Senator Alan Armstrong, as well as Senator Langford and other members of our federal delegation, as well as hearing from representatives from the Export-Import Bank and the Environmental Protection Agency. So as those of you who have been before, you know, we have a mixture of elected officials and appointed officials and getting a good blend of policy and politics there. The state legislature, because we're playing with live ammunition right now, I have to go to my second page of notes, which has more up-to-date information that may be outdated already.
Wait, let's look.
Let's see what's going on. We're expecting tomorrow the House and Senate will adjourn to the call of the chair, meaning they're kind of in a hibernate mode, and they will officially adjourn sine die next week. So if they need to take any further action, anything weird pops up, if there's a veto or something like that, they won't override. But some bills we can specifically talk about because we've seen action, and it's still accurate as of about 10 minutes ago. You saw me texting, that's why. The True Grit Trail Act has passed, so that's going to create a new tourism trail for Oklahoma. It's south of us. It's Sallisaw and McAllister, but again, it's in the region, and tourism, as we learned, brings in people from all over. I don't know if they'll be staying in Edmond for the True Grit Trail, but they might. Route 60, and that has been signed into law. The Route 66 Centennial license plate became law without the governor's signature, and again, that allowed the Route 66 Centennial Commission to create special license plate to commemorate this great year. I'm skipping over some other ones that are currently not accurate. Olympics revolving fund in Oklahoma signed, or pending action by the governor, excuse me. Yeah, this is fun to read your handwriting. Aerospace, aircraft, and aviation infrastructure, so the legislature's continuing to invest in that. As I think it's really good for Tulsa because it's continuing to see these investments Kim's spoken about. The overarching message here on the legislature would be, this is the second and final session of this session of the legislature, so any bills that aren't across the finish line, and if you look at our notes here, there's quite a few that were priorities, can be refiled next year, and we'll get to start all over again, which is good if something died, bad if we got this close and didn't get it across the finish line. So as a reminder, next year is a non-election year. We typically see a little bit more collaboration. I'll look to Councilor Bush from her time in the legislature. The off-cycle years are a little bit easier, I think. But
I agree.
I was just curious, I know there's ones like the tri-share that I wish would have made it further, but next time. Going back up to the budget appropriations, kind of an economic development question for you relative to the healthcare authority and Medicaid dollars. I know, healthcare is one of our biggest growing industries. We have all these new hospitals coming in, but I know with kind of like the budget appropriations and what's happening, they're looking at having to cut provider pay potentially through Medicaid. So I've been worried about being able to kind of recruit in or maintain physicians to, especially with our new medical infrastructure. Do you all feel like outcome-wise, I don't know, I was just curious what your all's perspective on that is as far as recruiting and retaining healthcare talent. We've invested so much as a city into the new hospital buildings.
yeah. Don't want to speculate on too much, but I think we could say it could have been worse, could have been better.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned. Yeah, I know.
That's not.
Very well
I mean,
said.
it definitely could have been worse. I know we still have things. I mean, I know we still have things coming onto the table, but just with the amount from that appropriation,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could have been worse, could have been better. I think we have a lot of conversations to continue having around the healthcare field and some of this funding in particular.
Okay.
Along with, when we were in DC, we talked to our federal delegation as well about the changing reimbursement rates and what that's meant downstream. It's easy at the federal level to make changes and reductions. and then the state gets to pick up the tab, and if they don't, it keeps getting pushed further down, and municipal resources get taxed with that, so.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're right, Gilbert, that was-
Thanks. Speaking of session and workforce, childcare. So, with what has happened, I think we have to get ready for what that's gonna do in our community. I got an update from Representative Schreiber yesterday that there's 1,394 slots in Tulsa County that have closed.
Yep.
I don't anticipate that those would be coming back. This is not unlike during the pandemic. Once those businesses close, they've moved on, they're doing other things. So 1,394 slots closed, and we were already under available. So as we talk about economic development, workforce development, I really think we need to start talking about employers about how they're gonna bring childcare into their operations. You know, these big employers. And if there could be a hybrid model where they're located, let's talk about 41st Street. Or maybe like for the employees, the slots are prioritized, and if there's extra, then maybe like neighbors could get in on that, because we can't do what we've been doing and expect different results. And it's unfortunate that, they lobbied the heck out of trying to get that to turn around, and same thing with mental health. So we're downstream of all those policy decisions, and so whether it's workforce attraction, retention, visitors, right? And we're in our budget talks here at this table about what we need to be doing. I just did want to flag that. And I can't remember if that was part of one voice. I think it
Yes.
was tangential to workforce, so.
Yes. It was probably our top workforce item this year.
Yeah, so, our area electeds are, I think they get it on both sides of the aisle, but they're not a big enough entity to have a strong voice with that whole group. So I don't know if we have to build a coalition with like our Oklahoma City partners, because that's half the state. But we can't, take away reproductive health care and then also not have places for families to have children, whether it's, preschool or, 6-week-old babysitting, or all the way up into the public schools. So very concerning about downward repercussions of those choices, and we're gonna find ourselves trying to catch it all, and we know we can't. So I hope we can advocate where we need to advocate. I'm looking at Counselor Bush, because I know she's been on the phone and walking those floors and and I've been on calls with Representative Schreiber. She's kind of positioned herself as the expert in that space, and trusted by all kinds of partners. But I just don't know how. I think if our business community could speak to it in a way, and this is not just a woman thing. I just really do want to say that as a woman myself. Like, I have a working husband. We have to balance who's taking care of the kids, who's running them to and fro. Luckily, we have a living grandma. Not everyone has that, and that comes with other financial impacts, right? Who wants, another mouth to feed. So families are trying the best they can, and we don't live in a community where one job can support a household. That's just not the world we live in. So this is not a woman's issue. This is a family, and it's a community issue, and it's a workforce issue.
Definitely workforce.
100%. So I'm hoping our business partners can, maybe there's some, I don't know, in Kansas City, but in some nearby communities where they've, figured that out.
Yeah, I'm out of
We're in
turn, but
discussion.
yeah,
Yes.
no, the problem, I know Suzanne is extremely frustrated, and it's like when I was over there, I did a newsletter about the three-legged stool, and when one leg is broken, the whole system collapsed. It's the Senate this year.
Yeah.
The problem is, the House has worked their tail off. Senate stopped everything. I mean, and this is the politics that happen, which is so unfortunate.
Certain folks in the Senate.
I personally don't think it's gonna turn around even to the call of the chair. I think all of this is dead in the water. They're
Yep.
gonna get out
This
the
session.
campaign, and
This
so
session, yeah,
it's
it's
next
next
year.
year.
So to that point, I don't know how our business community can step up, but it is a severe problem.
Yeah.
Because for those of us that work for other companies, even our employees can't come to work if there's no place to take their kid.
Right.
So the trickle-down effect is astronomical while they play politics at the state level. I'm just gonna say that
And we
out
also
loud.
know readiness to read and learn happens before kindergarten.
Correct.
So this is also part of that for long-term workforce as well, right?
Right.
And I know there's a lot of businesses that are looking at the daycare issue, not only in Oklahoma, but nationwide. We talked about that in
Because it's an,
DC.
well, it's an upside down industry unless we
right.
support it.
Well, and we do business incentives, maybe we need to reframe how we look at business incentives and also incentivize people that are willing to put in.
Well, that was the
childcare.
tri-share thing.
Right, at the state level, I'm
Yeah.
saying as a local,
I know.
right, I
Yep.
mean,
Well,
I'm not one
yeah.
of these people that thinks that municipal government can cover all the sins
But
of the
there are
state
certain
and
things
federal
that you
failures.
know are
Yes.
Yeah.
economic drivers if you do have an intervention.
Well, and just the overlapping impacts, right?
Right.
Higher rates of domestic violence, higher rates of child abuse, all these things happen when you start taking kids out of, you
Safe
know, a
environment.
collaborative care situation. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people, those are the points. And then you have downward effects for decades after. So I think we need to be mindful. I don't know if there's a economic incentive tool conversation we can have around business attraction and incentives that could also, we prioritize housing, you know, when people are coming in and doing infrastructure that would lead to housing. I think childcare is gonna be this next thing that housing and homelessness has been for us. And we just, it's easy to be like, that's not fair, the state should be doing it, but they're not, to Counselor Bush's point, they're not.
Or their sense of
And
urgency
we can't
is
afford
not
to
there.
wait, and I mean, these people who have been in business, taking care of 12 kids a year, when they go away, they're not coming back. It's
we've
not a
already-
financially sustainable model to begin with, and then, you know, with the subsidies being lost, they literally are just
We've
like
lost
moving.
400 childcare centers that aren't coming
Yeah,
back in the
they're
past
just gonna
year.
move on to
As a state.
putting food on their own table.
Yep. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Gilbert, then Dutton.
I'm good.
Dutton?
Isn't that
Oh,
No.
sorry, Bush and then Dutton.
Real quick,
Yep, I thought she was.
are the state questions settled yet?
As of this morning, there were still a couple of question marks. I think you and I saw the same list.
Did we see the same list? So
What-
just to
what's the
let you
list?
all know, there's 1 in June, 2 in August,
And
and
November.
4 in November,
Wow.
with 3 dead. And I don't think the T-set one's.
I think T-set's not gonna make
And
it.
I get, that may be it.
Yeah.
But that is the Medicaid expansion.
That's November still, right?
November
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
GNC reform and the property tax,
Yeah, the annual cap for
property, that's in
certain
Homestead.
November.
customers.
So that will be on with the hotel guest tax
Mhm.
in November, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
And the August one is when we have our elections and the,
ONG.
ONG franchise.
Yep, so you've
what's-
got,
what are the ones on for
you've got
August?
state cap question, require proof of identity to vote, and then the ad valorem manufacturing
Yeah.
tax exemption.
Yeah, that's another property tax.
Yep, another property
That
tax.
reforms.
So minimum wage
Excuse
is
me.
on June.
Cut our way to prosperity.
So I just didn't know if
Yeah.
this was still,
Hope everyone's got
That
their
is
dates
still
on their
accurate, again,
calendar.
as of this morning.
yeah.
Just
And your
show up and
absentee
vote.
ballots.
Get your
for
absentee
voting.
ballots in.
Yeah,
Oh
if you're
my God.
traveling or.
Sorry, that's all I wanted to verify that.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it
Yeah,
affects
no, you're
us.
good.
Mhm.
Dutton and then Bellis.
Yeah, so,
Are we-
to piggyback on what everybody's been talking about, childcare, as well as the cuts to SNAP benefits, and the work requirements that are now put into effect for families. And so I'm concerned, as my colleague, Counselor Dr. Wright had mentioned, that if you can't get childcare and you have work requirement expectations, I'm not sure how this is gonna roll out for Oklahoma children, seniors.
I just had a DV victim mom reach out who,
Yeah.
she got a childcare subsidy, had a job, but she needs childcare for the job, but
Right.
had to have proof of the job to use the subsidy of
Right.
the childcare, so she got stuck in the middle.
And then there's the teens that are aging out of systems that are going to be finding themselves as well at minimum wage jobs, unable to provide food for themselves. So I'm really concerned about that. And that also falls back into the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority for changes. And without, I mean, it's just, I see it as a rolling ball going down the hill. And one deficit is gonna lead to another. And this is really going to affect families in a really difficult way. I'm really concerned about that.
Yeah, and I think our position for our task forces to our members to the board is childcare is our biggest workforce issue and probably our single largest focus this session, and I think that's not gonna get easier until we come up with at least some progress on that issue.
And it's gonna affect housing too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't feed your family, you're probably not able to afford housing. And there's a shortage of that as well for seniors, families and veterans.
I was just gonna check, so knowing all that, knowing we're looking into next session, are like, what would you all recommend or what do you think we should be doing in the interim? I'm just thinking through one, if there's something we should be looking at the city level related to like the child care economic outcome issue, or two is like, part of me is like, do we need, like, I would say the word interim study, but it's like, what's there to study?
Yeah.
It's just a,
It's
such a
already been
known.
studied.
Yeah, it's been studied, there's, it's not even, also who needs to study something that's very
I think
clear?
we need to study the Senate and see who is really blocking these things.
Well, I think we have to get on the other side of all of the election cycles for
But I mean,
all of those.
you can make
We need to see what
change
it
in an
looks like.
election cycle to get the right
But,
people in.
no, but the issue here is like, it wasn't, what happened didn't have to do with it wasn't rational act or disruption. So there was nothing predictable or strategic that could have happened to help stuff be on the floor of the Senate this cycle.
Okay.
It was like other politics and not like necessarily super rational stuff. So we can't, so that's where I'm also wondering if there is something to explore in the more, I'm just naming to my colleagues too, like if there's something more hyper locally we need to explore, given like, if we have another session like this one where there's nothing rational or proactive we could do that would actually make a difference for something being heard, then what do we do?
I would like for us on our side to at least look at incentivizing
Yeah, okay.
incentivizing it with these other
Yeah.
economic development things we're putting out there.
Or that's like the one thing I had mentioned for, in the past, I don't think this has ended up happening, but for instance, maybe we need to revisit this with like the Housing Partner Network, is
Yeah.
incentivizing, or at least if we're going to give city dollars to someone to put in multi-unit housing somewhere, going, hey, you're gonna get extra points if you're incorporating space for a childcare center in that physical space you're
Sounds
building
good.
out. Like that is, there are other cities
Well,
that have
even the
things
like
that.
rezoning we just talked about in
Yeah.
our corridor, there's gonna be single family in this commercial zone.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little daycare center could go in there. I just think we need to do something different than we've been doing.
Mhm.
You've seen, I think, at 61st and Yale where they've put in, used to be more retail and restaurant, and they've put in a little preschool over there, and I think it's doing quite well. So, of course, we need things that are affordable and at every price point and in every part of
Seems like
town.
it's doing really well.
I think the other thing is that people don't always realize there's also subsidies to tribes for childcare that can be layered with DHS ones. Sometimes I also wonder, maybe this is more for like, I don't know if it's TVC or Plot or Tulsa, but like helping people or like even some of the small businesses as childcare providers navigate those pay structures. And I'm just trying to think through a few local layers of what we could be doing, knowing that like, everyone's done their advocacy best.
I think we have to do it locally and then hope that the state gets it together, because it's a yes and at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we can't.
Well, okay, I'm following up on that. I mean, some of these folks, can you all lead like an interim study just for our city
Locally,
on
yeah.
this? That we can kind of strategize
I
something?
think it's a conversation we could have, maybe work
Yeah.
with Sarah and see some of her expertise and.
And then I actually
The
have.
Women's Commission did a.
Sorry,
The Women's
the
Commission.
Women's Commission did a really good
extensive
report.
study
Okay.
And then, putting on a different hat, my nonprofit, we have like analytics arm that focuses on women's health data, which includes economic outcomes. So we probably have a really good database of stuff that we could just put into.
But I think we need to
whatever we
pull
can.
in the business community
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
on that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one thing for us as
Yeah.
a city government, municipal
Yeah.
entity to do it, but to have that with the
Have that
local.
voice from business
Yeah.
communities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so they understand the,
Yeah.
I mean, I know I sat next to Bill Knight, and he's now seeing these issues. I
Right.
mean, it's
That's
trickling down to your
Yeah.
members, so,
It is.
yeah.
Well,
We don't need to do the state anymore, it's a dead horse up there. I mean, I used to chair that committee, so what are we gonna do locally to?
And there's probably
rights?
other cities that are doing it, so.
Yeah.
we
Something.
can-
Someone's figuring it out.
Maybe.
Just like we did with our affordable housing
Yeah.
initiative,
Right.
we can survey the United States, there's 5 or 10 good ideas
Right.
out there in the US that we
People
can
have done more hyper local
replicate
tri-share.
or replicate and customize, that we can discuss.
Local trash.
I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
be some options.
Okay.
Okay.
Plans.
Anything else?
On that note, legislative briefing breakfast is Friday, so that's also a good opportunity.
And that will focus
to
on
go-
the Golden Dome and
It is.
aerospace.
That's right. So, you can make it to that. You've got a calendar of events, I won't read them all to you, but just want to say, really appreciate your time, want to appreciate your support and everything you all do, so thank you.
Thank you all
Okay,
too.
thanks for the
Can you give a
conversation.
shout out to the FMAC, they are doing amazing
Yeah.
work, so
Thank
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you all very much. Okay, with no further business, we're adjourned. If anybody's going to above and beyond, I think the van leaves in 5 minutes.
All right.
Get referrals in from all different kinds of partners, whether it's hospitals, the fire department, sometimes